Marcus, it's great to have you with us today, and thanks a million for your time. Looking forward to this conversation. Obviously, we've had a few conversations prior to this,
Yeah,
it's been fascinating to hear a bit more about your work that you've been doing, and kind of the improvements you've made over a short period of time as well. So, looking forward to kind of digging into this one.
thank you. It's good to have a platform and speak with you on such an important topic that's going around at the moment, and it's only going to become bigger and bigger.
Exactly, exactly. So, look, let's jump into it. Tell us a bit more about the vehicle group or TVG, what the business does, kind of customers you serve, what your current sustainability program looks like or how it's developed. And I suppose, it's quite a unique space as well. So, for people who maybe don't understand the sector or what it is, I suppose what does sustainability actually mean in your world in
Yeah,
relation to, those impacts, risks, opportunities, etc.
yeah, absolutely. So the vehicle group have been operating for a couple of decades now. Only recently we got bought out to move from private ownership into a group sector. So for us, we primarily around the safety, security, and telematics in the transport sector. We produce a variety of CCTV systems, commercial announcement systems, locking systems, CAN bus systems to support keeping fleets across, well, the world safe, to be honest. So we do an array of products and offerings to our customers, whether that's bespoke or off the shelf solutions. So we're really open-minded with our customers in terms of taking their needs, innovating them, and making sure that we're delivering exactly what they want. Who we work with is a complete range of customers. That could be large-scale fleets, talking thousands of vehicles in their fleet, or it could be quite small organizations, people and businesses that are just starting to look at the safety and security of their vehicles, whether they're new, old, if they've got new vehicles, or they've also bought fleets off other customers too. So we've been doing that for years, and we've worked with numerous of customers, some for a very, very long time, and we're starting to onboard new customers, and they're starting to see what our solutions can give to them as well. So it's brilliant to see what we're innovating constantly come to the forefront of our customers' minds. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I
it's ever
suppose
growing.
ever growing, yeah. And then in terms of and I suppose what we can do, jump to semi-general, but in terms of when it became a priority for you guys,
Yeah,
you mentioned there the acquisition into a kind of group level piece
yeah,
that obviously brings its own pressures and particularly with both EU regulation coming down the tracks for certain size businesses and how that flows into that kind of scope three or supply chain
yeah.
value chain piece as well. Was there a moment then that happened that kind of shifted that this is something you guys need to do? Like I remember we had a conversation probably 12 months ago plus now in terms of
Yeah.
you initially bringing it in. What was that moment or that it brought something that it's generally what you guys are committed to and how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, I mean, it was very much driven from group level. So our board of directors, they've driven this down to the numerous companies that they own, because it's a big part of their transparency to the customers that we serve across the group.
Hmm.
So it was initially told to me just over a year ago that we were going to start reporting on the sustainability for scope one, two, and three. And it was a bit of a shock because it's something new for me. It was something new for this business. We'd considered quite early on in me joining the vehicle group, attaining ISO 14001, which is the environmental management system. So it kind of played hand in hand that we were looking at developing that already, but also understanding what the requirements are from the sustainability part of the scope reporting. So yeah, it was quite early on in terms of my career at TVG. The rest of the group, they had already been reporting for a quarter, so we were playing a bit of catch up. They've actually got a bit more data than us, but we very quickly caught up. But it was exciting. We understood that it's something that we had to do, and the more that we looked into it, and obviously that we put colleague on a course, which was fantastic. We couldn't have done that at a better time in terms of sustainability here at TVG. And it just developed from there, and it really became an exciting topic point, not a scary topic point. In a matter of weeks, And the more that we researched it and obviously gained understanding from education, but also practical learning, yeah, it's been fantastic.
And then, because I think I know that's one thing, I suppose from our conversations, obviously prior to this and just over the last year, you know, and I suppose for those who don't know, you've got a fairly robust within a limited time frame within that 12-month time frame, a
Yeah,
fairly robust sustainability report put out there recently
yeah,
that's aligning with the European sustainability reporting standards, which meets with CSRD, and obviously that's kind of driven from group level. Um, and, it's also supporting, I think, from our conversation, some of that tick in the box piece. But also, I think what we've discussed is like for you guys, although being driven from a value chain perspective from group level, you quickly realized the value in taking action here. And it became more than
absolutely.
just a compliance piece for you.
Yeah,
It became actually a value driver.
yeah.
And I think we're going to jump into that a bit more. But I suppose to give the listeners as well a bit of an understanding, look, what does sustainability really mean in your world again? So, those impact areas, the risks, the opportunities, and maybe we can touch on a bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that one of the things that's been known about the vehicle group for a long time is around our product lifespan and quality. And
Mm,
that was fantastic, that customers continue to come back to TVG for our product and what we can offer. But now what we can do is we can shift that focus. It's not just about that, it's about what in terms of sustainability that gives to our customers. And we
mm,
gain that data really quickly because we've had such a long period of time of understanding what we deliver to our customers. And we've got a big longevity in terms of what our products offer, maybe in terms of comparing us to our customers. We've got very supportive fleet management tools. So all of our products are around the safety, around the sustainability realm anyway. It was just about digitizing that data, making it available, and pushing out as much as we can to show to customers, new, old, what our products do. And that's really important that we do that on that side, but also with our supply chain as well. And that's been something that we've had a major shift in over the last year. Is a real key impact area as we're working so heavily with suppliers. And again, that's new or old, in terms of what our expectations are and working with them to get them and upskill them. So really what we want to see is us going on this sustainability journey, but bringing all parts of the value chain along with us. And we're seeing incredible success with that. And you have to think that we work with some fantastic big organizations, but we also work with some very small organizations where they might have 10 people in a small workshop, and yet we still expecting them to work to our standards, to work with the relative EU standards and regulations. So yeah, it's a big impact area for us that we go on that journey together, and we want to work with the best of the best, but also serve the best of the best with our products as well. So yeah, I mean the big risks that we've seen is green technologies.
mm,
It's very difficult at the moment in terms of the availability in the market. With AI, etc., it's very expensive. The availability is quite difficult. So we're having very close risk management in terms of navigating around the green technologies realm and what we can do to successfully deliver to our customers and our partners that technology, but making it available that they can actually buy it and make it as competitive in the market. So yeah, it is a risk, and we do manage that very closely on a weekly basis, just in how that's shifting and we'll shift, how we're working to suit
mm,
that too. But we've got some fantastic opportunities, not just around the green technologies realm, but we want to lower our costs. And with us being in fleet management, our values align very closely with those that we work with. Lower our servicing needs for products, and that's delivered directly through the lifespan. So we're constantly now, more so than ever in the last year, looking at how we can increase that for our new iteration of product, but also our legacy products that have been on the market for such a long time. We really want to be continuing to develop them, whether that's through new material, new technologies. And it's going to be a really important part of our future that we can deliver products to our customers that exceed what their expectations are in terms of how that supports their sustainability journey.
yeah, and I think that's like I suppose the most interesting thing as well in terms of that conversation we've had prior is the opportunities really you've seen, but
Yeah,
also I suppose that risk management. But like you see both from, as you said, from a quality perspective, that was number one for what your customers were looking for and why
Yeah.
they continue to engage with you. But this is only add an extra string to your bow in relation to, why they want to continue to do business commercially with the vehicle group and continue to grow. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
One area then, because like again, as I said, it was quite a robust report that you got out there, and I think it's a short term around that you did it, and I think you mentioned around that data piece and trying to get the data systems in play, and
Yeah.
also using that and leveraging that from a sales and marketing perspective that you can bring to your customers. Like, but when you were kind of first starting out, like, and trying to get a handle on, let's say, your emissions data and build that program, um, what did that look like in practice? Like, what was the hardest part early on? Particularly around, that systems development, I suppose, to be able to churn out an ESRS
Yeah.
aligned report.
It was carnage. I think that one of the things that we realized quite quickly is that sustainability, we had to grow it very, very quickly within our organization because we are only, we're a fantastic team of 80 people here at the Vehicle Group. And that's whether you class that as an SME or a small enterprise, we all need to play a part in any success, whether that's from customer delivery to sustainability to quality to health and safety. We all understand that we have to play a part in that. Um, so yeah, it was to begin with collecting the data, but understanding what data we need to collect too. So we made quite a few mistakes very early on. And what I would say is make them mistakes. It's really important. We learned very quickly from them. But accessing the data, making sure that because of the reporting periods that we do it every 2 quarters, and then we do a final yearly one too. It's easy to forget where we get that data from.
Mm.
So what we try to do is document absolutely everything that we could, whether we got the smallest piece of information from our finance team through to a large piece of organization data from our human resources team. We made sure that we were very clear in terms of where we got that, how we got it, how long it took to get it, and where we stored that, how we managed that data, and also how we compiled it into our scope 1, 2, and 3 reporting. And what we've done at every single part of that process, whenever we've done new reporting, we've made improvements. And I'm not sure, in terms of other people's reporting, whether they're starting to look at it or whether they're quite mature in that. But having that space in between, having them 2 quarters to allow us to develop our systems has been in. We couldn't have been able to be in the position we're in without it because
Mm.
things take time. And continuous improvement is something that myself, the rest of the management team, but also across the board, is really important to us. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I think like I think that's the most important piece, and I think one piece we always hear is, and I suppose it's vital, is don't let perfection get in the way of
Yeah,
of just starting. Like don't perfection be the enemy of good. Like good is fine, as you said, just take that first step, learn from
yeah,
mistakes, and then I think the important piece is continuing to iterate
yeah.
and really really move through improving the data systems and getting it to where you need to be. And I think one thing you
No,
mentioned.
you're absolutely right. Absolutely. I mean, we made so many mistakes to begin with, like I say, and we've got to a point now where we're very comfortable in where we get our data from. But
Mm,
that's taken a year, and that's taken, and again, I appreciate that we're 80 people, and we've got at least two of us working on this full time when we are reporting.
mm,
Other organizations might not have that privilege, but what I would say is, again, for them small organizations, is get involved, and everybody's busy. But you have to be on board with this. You've really got to kind of make it the forefront of your working day
mm, mm.
almost.
Yeah.
And what we've got to do at the stage we're at now is we're doing this built into our processes every day. We're not waiting for 6 months down the line and then we're reporting. We're collecting this data every day, every week, every month, depending on the frequency that we've identified. And it's just natural now. So yes, it's difficult to begin with, but it definitely gets better.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, that timing thing can be an issue because it does
Yeah,
take time. It's not just a flick of a switch here. It takes planning, it takes iteration, it takes learning to get to a point where you can then continually build on. I think that's so oftentimes when we're dealing with businesses can realize they don't realize, if you need to report on something by this date, you're going to have to
Yeah,
step backwards and realize what's required. And then I
yeah,
think, as you said, is actually that embedding piece, or how does it become part of just how the business operates? And a lot of times businesses can struggle with that, as you said, either due to the fact that it's either someone's part-time role, or that
yeah,
maybe it's siloed, or that the information is siloed. And again, this can vary depending on the size of the business. But I think particularly on that, I suppose, people engagement side of things, because the one thing we hear constantly is, like, from every level of the business, let's say from the factory floor right to the boardroom, you
yeah,
know, people constantly find that difficult in terms of, one, getting that top down level leadership, which you guys obviously had at group level, but then, as you
yeah,
said, getting the wider business, be it 80 people, be it 1,000 people, involved in what you are trying to drive. So, like, what worked in terms of the vehicle group for bringing people with you and into that
yeah.
process and kind of getting a part of their job? And I suppose, what challenges did you face? You're still facing, and I suppose, how has your work fostered? I think we mentioned before that friendly competition, but within the vehicle group, but also
Yeah.
the wider group of businesses under that group company,
Yeah, as I mentioned, it started very much at the top. It's things that prior to that, we did things ad hoc. We did recycling,
Mm.
but very much on sort of the ground floor level. But what we tried to do is, alongside the course that my colleague did with yourselves, push through the bits of training that we got from group, looking at the systems and starting to develop it in that early phase. We really identified the need to deliver training internally, and that was
Mm.
very much tailored towards whether that's department or group or management level. Um, we did a lot of understanding and awareness training with the teams. So that really sort of upskilled them to a level where they can feel like they're responsible for it and they can make a change. And again, we implemented a system where they can report any improvement that they could see directly towards our sustainability journey. So all around the business, we have QR codes that people can scan. They don't have to be logged into anything, and they can raise that suggestion. They get talked about every single week, and then that's communicated back to them what we're going to do with what their idea was. So we made it as easy as possible for people to get involved. I mean, we've got such a good culture here in terms of open door. People can go to our general manager, and people can come to me, my team, with a suggestion, and it's totally open arms in terms of what your ideas are. But we get regular updates from the group, and obviously then we deliver them updates back to the team. We have notice boards all around and TVs that are constantly circulating where we are in terms of our data. So we did that really early on too. We presented whatever we could from our
Mm.
first reporting period, which, bear in mind, the turnaround for that was 3 weeks from a very strict deadline to get as much information together as possible. But we made that available as early on. And what I would say is, from us, I think that we're in the industry where the people who come to work for us, they are already aware of this. And I can appreciate that this might be a bit more difficult to people in other areas and other industries. But what I would say to that is, if you're looking at cost savings, you have to do that with sustainability in mind, because they very much go hand in hand. And we've
Mm.
seen the direct effects of that. We do energy audits almost from, again, day one. We were just wasted electricity. What can we do? You know, and just recently over Christmas, we actually had our first sustainability champion award. So we had an award ceremony, and that goes to our executive leadership team. People can nominate people, and we talk about what they've come in terms of suggestions. Ideally, we'd love to give that to everyone, but what we want to do is empower people that what they are doing is making a difference, and we're communicating that. So getting people on board was really, really important. But what I would say to that is the communication piece. What are we doing and why are we doing it? We don't want people to think that we're just pulling data and we're being annoying, wanting this data for no reason. There has to be a value to that. So we've really put emphasis on bringing the whole of the team with us. Also, when new people start the business, we do onboarding, and that's got a whole sustainability section in it itself.
Mm.
So again, we're trying to drill that in very early on, and what we're trying to do is set people up for life, because I think that this is going to be something that is going to be with us for our lifetime, certainly in our working career, and we want to see improvements all the time. So if people go on and they're inspired by sustainability and they take a job or they take education um, around the topic. I think that's fantastic for us, the business, the world. The more people that we have being educated, whether that's locally or through places like yourself, it's only upskilling, and again that can roll out more training. Um, I guess the challenges that we've seen, it's still new, and we're talking about all these fantastic things about making it available to people, but it is still relatively new for us. So only recently we've assigned a budget to sustainability. So we're starting. This is our first year of having a budget in the topic. So I'm really excited to see what that's going to bring. We've got lots of good ideas that have been driven again from the people. It's not
Yeah.
just me and my team who've come up with ideas and go, yes, let's get an OPEX or CAPEX and bring this in. We're really looking at cost effective solutions that we can do to make the biggest impact to our scope 1, 2, and 3 reporting. But we are, like I said, that's the biggest challenge, is doing the right thing for the business, for the environment, and for our customers and suppliers, that will have that biggest impact.
Yeah, and I think like as you said, it like that embedding or integrating of your strategy that you laid out into the wider business, and particularly, as you said, that direction can come from the top down, but it's vital to have every other individual within the business involved.
Yeah,
Like I suppose we call it, I suppose, that bottom up innovation. And as you said, like they're the individuals who are know the business inside out, know their
yeah,
role inside out, and as a result of that, can identify those inefficiencies, those improvement areas that could be
yeah,
recommended via the system. I suppose it's vital to connect the dots between, you know, those recommendations, but also giving them the knowledge and capability and know-how to begin in their mind connect the dots between, well, if we do this slightly differently, that's going to have an impact on our energy use, or that's going to have an impact on our carbon as a result. And we found that with other clients. I suppose you guys are a perfect case study where, the varying levels of learning and literacy development across the levels is obviously going to be different, like for yourself and your colleague. It was obviously of a higher standard because you guys are leading it, but from that group level, it's those, as we said, those awareness, those sharp pieces, and how their role